I hope you are enjoying the video so far and understanding options more and more. Now, this is moving towards super options mastery. In this video, let's talk about intrinsic and extrinsic value. What do I mean by that? Now, every single option has a value and it's called premium. That's the price of the option. So in the case of Meta, which we have been using as an example, a 948 days 430 strike price call. This currently we can see the last price is 146.50. Where do we get this number from? This 146.50 is the premium, and this premium is made out of intrinsic and extrinsic value. Now let me first explain the intrinsic value and extrinsic value. We will break it down in the next particular video. Now, first let's talk about intrinsic value. The options again made out of two components, intrinsic and extrinsic value. The price, the premium is made up of these two. So let's talk about the intrinsic value. Here I put an example of Tesla, but let's use Meta. Use Meta as an example. So Meta, you can see that the price now is 470.46. It is moving right now because the market is open. And let me show you some examples that we should make it a lot clearer. I'm going to use the example of 460 core. Okay, 460 core. So here I'm going to change some of the numbers. Meta, META. The share price right now is 470.30. Okay, I'm going to just put 470.30. It's going to move, but it's okay. We are just going to put 470 just for easy calculation. And the strike price just now, we talk about, we are going to look at the 460 core. This is the latest numbers that we can see. A 460 core, the premium is 136.5. Where does this number come from? It is made of intrinsic and extrinsic value. Right now, if we talk about the call option of 460, remember the call owner can buy Meta at 460, okay? Which is $10 below the share price. Now, if I'm going to put it visually, right, a 460 call allows us to lock in at this price at 460. Remember? To allow us to buy when we talk about call. And as the share price goes up to 470, we can immediately, okay, in theory, we can actually practically we can do that also, buy the shares at 460 and sell at 470. And this particular process of the stock transaction makes us $10. Does it make sense? So this $10 is what is known as intrinsic value. Intrinsic value, in short, basically tell us is if we exercise the options right now, how much money do we make? That money is called intrinsic value. Got it? So this strike, this 460 strike has an intrinsic value of $10 right now. So let's take a look. The share price is still 470. 460 options. The options premium is 136.5. 136.5. This is the premium. The premium equals to 136.5, and the premium is made out of intrinsic value, which is $10, plus extrinsic value, which is $126.30. Now, where do I get this $126.30 from? Basically, I just take 136.30 minus $10. It's about 120 something dollars. Okay, the price will keep moving, the intrinsic value will keep moving. So the extrinsic value is the one that doesn't move that much. So right here, you can see 460, I've put in a column called time value, which is the extrinsic value. Now it is 123.27. It is around here. So as the share price move, the intrinsic value will move. The 460 is already fixed. So right now you can see that the intrinsic value is $10.15. So the extrinsic value, we just take this premium minus $10.15, you will get roughly this number. The number changes, so you can see, that's why it's not always fixed. Got it? So you can see this is the intrinsic value and extrinsic value. Put it simply, you can see that call options have intrinsic value when the share price is above the call strike price. I hope my video is not covering any of these slides, okay? So you see, if this is the strike price, example 460, when the share price goes above 460, 461, 462, 463, 464, 470, 480, 490, 500, okay, the intrinsic value increases. This is the intrinsic value. If the share price goes below 460, let's say 459, 450, and so on, 450, 440, the call has zero intrinsic value. Understand so far? So this is how it goes. A call has more intrinsic value, the higher the share price goes. And when there's more intrinsic value, the premium increases. Why? Because the premium of the call is intrinsic value plus extrinsic value. Extrinsic value is a time value. So as the intrinsic value increases, okay, increase by $5, the premium will increase like $3, $4, $5. Okay, you increase by that amount. Okay, it's adjusted. So it's not exactly 1:1. We will talk about that in subsequent videos. So this is the core intrinsic value. Visually, you can see that cost option intrinsic value is the share price minus the strike price. Again, example, the strike price is 460. As price goes up, this is the intrinsic value. If it's below, it's considered zero. Okay, so meaning you say, if let's say now it's 460, but the share price is 450, it's below, then there's zero intrinsic value. I hope it's very visual. So let me share with you that if let's say the price right now, okay, now let me just test you guys. Okay, in fact, I shouldn't just erase this. Let me just discard this again. We can see it pretty obviously. I'll just take the real life example. Now it's 470. Mm, hmm. I'm just gonna cut this whole thing here. Now it's 470.5. I'd rather show you the real life example right now so it becomes very clear. So if it's 470.5 now, a 470 option, a 470 strike price call, what is the intrinsic value? It is 0.5. Let's put a column called intrinsic value. 0.5. Now, a 460 call, a strike price with 460, okay, it has 470 minus the strike price, which is 10.5. So you can see roughly again, because the premium is around this range, about 133 to 136, but 136 minus, this is the premium, 136 or 135 minus $10 is about 125. Okay, but here puts 123. Maybe they took a lower end of it. It depends on the last transacted price or how the things is moving. But I can see it's around this range. The premium, which is from here, minus away the intrinsic value, is the extrinsic value, or extrinsic value plus intrinsic value equals to the premium. Sometimes demand and supplies, as they move, okay, it doesn't move accordingly. So sometimes options are mispriced. That's where we can take advantage of it. In fact, you can see there are some possible areas that we can take advantage. Now, a 450 call has $20 of intrinsic value. So you can take 117, this is the extrinsic value, the time value, plus 20 is 137, around there. So you can see it's around there. But right now, the premium is on the high side. A 440 call has $30, 30.5. Okay, remember it's 0.5, 20.5, 30.5, assuming the share price is frozen here. So you can see that as the strike price goes lower, when it goes lower, in fact, you're locking the price lower down, correct? Lower down. So the price is here, it goes lower down, the value becomes higher. So this is how it goes. So This is the option intrinsic value. Now let's take a look at put. Okay, for put, right, their intrinsic value is the other way round. What do I mean by that? So, example, we're looking at BGNE. Go to the options chain. Right now, the share price is 163. So I'm going to take an example of a 170. Let's say a 170. 170 put. Now, a 170 put, remember the value, the intrinsic value of the put, right? It gives us the right to sell the shares. We are allowed to sell the shares at 170 at any time from now until the expiry date. So if the share price right now is 163, okay, maybe I just put 160, 163. It moves up and down. Then it goes to 170, and then it's 180, 190. Then it goes back down to, let's say, 150. You see the share price goes up and down. Now, what happens if the share price, like right now, is 163.55? We can immediately buy the shares. We can exercise. So you ask yourself, if you exercise the shares right, exercise the options right now, what can you do? You can sell the shares at 170. So means that you can buy shares at 163 and sell at 170. The intrinsic value of the put at this moment, we are not going to exercise, remember? I'm just in theory when we exercise it. The intrinsic value is how much? It's $7 because we can buy at 163, sell at 170 is $7. If let's say if it's at 160, if the share price drops to 160, the strike price never moves. Once we lock it in, we lock it in. If it drops to 160, the intrinsic value is $10. If it drops to 150, drop all the way down, we can buy shares at 150, we can sell at 170. The intrinsic value is $20. So this is the intrinsic value of the options. So similarly, you can see right here, a 170 put. Let's look on the right side, the put. The premium right now, 170 is around $15 to $19, last closing at 18. So a 170 put has about $7, $6 and 45 cents. Okay, $6 and 45 cents to be exact. $6 plus $6.40 over cents plus the time value is $8.55. So $8 plus $6 is $14. With 50 cents behind, it's about $15. Okay, so it's around here, $15 plus. You can see here. So this is the extrinsic value. The intrinsic value is what money you made, how much profit you make if you exercise the option right now. So this is what the put value, put option looks like. So strike price is here. In this case, we talk about 170. 170. So as the share price bounces below the strike price, this is the intrinsic value. So if the share price is above 170, if it goes up, we have the rights to sell it at 170, but we are not going to buy it at, we're not going to buy it, let's say it goes up to 200. No reason why we buy shares at 200. We buy something at high price and then we sell at low price. No reason to do that. So there's zero intrinsic value. So this is both intrinsic value of put and call options. Same thing. You can see that for a put option, put option, the strike price, just now we did the exercise. Well, now it's 163. So as the strike price goes higher, a 170 put has $7 of intrinsic value. A 180 put has $17, okay, of intrinsic value. A 190 put has 27. So we take 190 minus the share price. So if let's say the share price is above, is 200. So we take 190 minus 200, it's a negative number. There's zero intrinsic value. I do hope that this is something that is clear. So in interactive brokers, you can actually adjust here. You can see put here. You can adjust, manage the columns and add the columns. But I don't think they have intrinsic value for this portion. So all we can see is the time value. I've added the time value to make it visual, which is the extrinsic value. So we'll be talking about extrinsic value in a moment's time. So the next video, you'll get a clearer understanding of extrinsic value, that's where you can put them together. See you in the next video.